Hello. I just went and saw The Devil Wears Prada 2. So, which I mean, I guess from that alone speaks for itself as an odd choice considering all the other movies and TV shows that I review on this channel. But to get a little bit of a background to it, I think I saw the first movie for the first time last year, I want to say, and I hated it. I don't remember why I hated it, but I remember that I hated it. And so I genuinely had low expectations when it came to liking this movie, which makes you wonder why the fuck did you go and see it? I don't know. I don't know. I actually no, I didn't even keep seeing trailers for it. But I don't know. I went and I saw it. I saw it with my mom, and it was fun. It was a fun movie. It was pretty funny. I I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But it was pretty funny. It had its moments where the characters are entertaining, the acting is really good. It's got a plethora of people just portraying themselves. Like Lady Gaga shows up, and I knew Lady Gaga was probably going to be involved in the movie some way because Spotify had told me that Lady Gaga was making music for The Devil Wears Prada too. So I was like, okay, she's an actress as well, she'll probably show up in it, and she did as herself, which when they were hinting to not being able to get John Legend and having to contact somebody else with a favor, I was like, it's probably gonna be Lady Gaga, and I was correct. And there were just a ton of other cameos of, well, my mom had to tell me about Versace because she was like, do you know who that person is, when Versace's talking to Emily, getting lunch with Emily Blunt's character, and I was like, no. And my mom's like, that's Versace. But even through the list, it's got a ton of designers that apparently appeared in the film, as well as an NBA basketball player and a bunch of other people. I have a sinking suspicion with the designers that it's I don't think my mom truly realized how iconic this movie was, because she was like, why are so many people in this movie? And I was like, I feel like the first one's pretty iconic. And so they probably agreed to be in this film and also offer up their own designs for the film itself, because I don't remember much about the first one, because I feel like I just sort of blanked it out in my brain. But there were a ton of designer outfits, and I'm sure there were a ton in the first movie, but it felt more over the top in this one, and that was probably for a purposeful reason. I feel like there were a lot more makeover montages and runway montages and stuff like that, and I think part of it was extending the runtime, because I do have a great issue with its length and its plot. But I do think the makeover and runway montages sort of help with that, being here's a bunch of designs, and it's in a way it's a good thing for these designers to get their clothing brands seen on a big screen. I don't know if that helps or not. I know nothing about fashion, so I don't know if you can tell from what I usually wear. I know nothing about fashion, so I don't know. But I just thought that was interesting there. And I did find the main runway scene with Lady Gaga interesting. It definitely felt more like a Lady Gaga music video than a runway show. But I don't know. It, like I said, it was a fun movie, and as in I expected to hate it and I didn't. But I did not like the plot. The plot of this movie is not good. It's trying to get from point A to point B with a bunch of bullshit in between, because I don't know, things seem very jumbled and unnecessary. There are so many filler scenes into this that make no sense, and it's just it was weird. It's got a lot of commentary on a bunch of different things. So the beginning is a commentary on abuse of, I wouldn't say fast fashion, because runway is not fast fashion, but in a way it's using sweatshops and stuff like that to make clothing. And so there's the beginning of that with that whole scandal, and that's the excuse to get Andy back in to working for Runway, and then sort of how it progresses through, where they keep hinting at this promotion that Miranda was gonna get, but then Irv suddenly all of a sudden dies on his birthday, And then now the entire plot is about the future of Runway and it essentially being like taken away and turned into nothing instead, and then trying to get it like bought by Ben Barnes, but then it turns out Ben Barnes buying it is for Emily's sake and not for like Miranda or Andy's sake. So then they go to Sasha Barnes and have Sasha Barnes essentially acquire the entire like company so that like Miranda essentially can have full say on what she can do with Runway. And it like these are the key components, and there's just a whole bunch of nonsense in between. But I felt like the death of Earth was so sudden and jarring, and like I think they, I don't know, I feel like they just needed more with the film. They're like, we want a beginning where Andy has to get back to working for Runway, and an ending where Andy stays working for Runway and like succeeds in a business with Runway. And I feel like the writers sort of like had to jumble up a whole lengthy, like partially nonsensical plot through that, because it's just like, I mean, some things make sense. Like I do like with Irv's death isn't the right phrase, but with like, you know, even at the beginning of film, the topic of like how popular is journalism, like it's no longer about journalism, it's about like news articles but on websites and getting scrolls and likes. And I don't know where people post anything anymore. I feel like I wouldn't say I'm chronically offline, but I don't read news articles, or I don't read fashion articles, that's for fucking sure. So like, but like where the numbers are actually coming from and how to actually get views and likes and like clicks on something like that, because it's not in sort of magazine form anymore. Like, I mean, yes, you can still buy magazines at a grocery store, but like, I don't know, I feel like most people don't do that anymore because a good majority of people have smartphones now, so they just subscribe to those magazines on their phones, or they just read those magazines on their phone. Or it's like my phone, like if I swipe right on it, has a whole listed suggestion of articles for me to read from a different, like a bunch of different groups. And so it's like I can just do that on my phone instead of like subscribing to specific like magazine companies or anything like that. And so I think it's a really interesting take on that. They have like a slight stint on AI where Ben Barnes is like, you know, because Miranda Priestley is very much afraid of change, which is fair. Like, I feel like if you've worked in a business for that long and you realize that it's sort of getting bought from underneath you, and you don't quite know what to do with your life after that, like, I think you would be a little bit afraid of change. But he, like, very haphazardly is like, well, maybe everything's going to be taken over by AI. And it's like, I don't think fashion will ever be taken over by AI. And I know that's like a joke thing that like people say around, like everything's going to be taken over by AI. And it's like, there are very much a lot of people's jobs who have unfortunately been taken over by AI. It's like, I don't think fashion will ever be one of those, but it's still a thing to discuss and talk about. And but like, obviously that's not the point of this movie. The point of this movie is to talk about like journalism and more like magazines and how to get, you know, content, like reading content and fashion content to viewers and readers and stuff like that. And that's what this is about. And sort of like, I don't know, but at the same time it's like that plot is so put underneath by the plot of just like buying out a company. And a company, I wouldn't necessarily say a company going over, I do under, like I definitely think there's a commentary on like constant layoffs and sort of what the, you know, job market is shit right now, and like people constantly getting laid off and fired, and you know, trying to find new jobs. It's like very much for Andy, like that's the beginning. She got fired, like she needed to get a new job, and luckily like it fell in her lap, as in like it's revealed at the end that Nigel essentially let Irv know that he could hire Andy because Andy used to work for Runway. And I think it helps with that, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like they wanted to make these statements, but they weren't bold enough about them. Like, it was very much set underneath this plot that was about the future of Runway, but not done in a really well way, because they were like, oh yeah, let's like add this in, but then put in like this montage over here, or like going, the entire scene where she like goes to the Hamptons was unnecessary. Like, yeah, sure, it makes her get introduced to Miranda's husband, but like, other than that, there's no point of it. Like, she already knows about the promotion that Miranda was supposed to get, and I guess it's confirmation that it was going to happen. I was more like on the thought that, like, I don't know, honestly. And then, like, this sudden death and everything's changed in terms of, like, who's in charge and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't know. It was just weird, like, because then halfway through the movie, we switched to Milan and it's all about being in Italy. And I feel like that in and of itself was just like, they were not subtle with the advertising in this movie at all for anything. But I feel like in that way it was sort of like a travel to Milan sort of ad for just like 45 minutes. Oh, just come to Milan. And I don't know, it looks like a very beautiful place. I've never been to Italy, so but I thought it was just strange. I don't know, this plot felt very nonsensical. It's like there were bits here and there, and they decided to just add in so much filler that it felt, I don't know, bloated and like too big. And it's like, it's a 2 hour long movie, and you know, like, I expect 2-ish hours, but like other things, like her relationship with Peter is unnecessary. Like, it's, I guess they're like, yeah, she didn't stay with the guy in the first one, so we have to give her a guy in the second one. And it's like, no, she also didn't have a whole lot of chemistry with him. I'm like, she had better chemistry with like basically any other character than she did with Peter. Like, they were just like, I don't know, it was weird. They sort of just like fast tracked that relationship, and it just felt weird. Like, at the beginning, I thought she was in a relationship with a woman. I was like, this is great. She's a lesbian now. Like, hell yeah. And then it turns out that's just her friend. And I was like, oh, that was boring. I do like the friend, though. But yeah, I liked the relationship with the friend, but just her relationship with Peter, I was just, like, not here for at all. But her relationship with a lot of the other characters was nice, though. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like it depends. I think those are all my thoughts. I don't know. Usually I have like 10,000 other ones after this, but I always forget them until later when I'm not recording anymore. So yeah, like overall it was like, I had fun. I thought I would hate it, but I didn't. But like the plot is just so nonsensical. So I wasn't here for it. But yeah, let me know if you have seen The Devil Wears Prada 2 and what you thought of it. Like, subscribe. Bye bye.